Hey everyone, I'm Josh Galvin and this is Bob Gibbs, and this is episode 6 of The Truth in the News. And today we have 2 articles from USA Today. One of them about the decrease in foreclosures this first quarter and how that was due to processing delays because of the high volume that all the lenders were experiencing. And the second one is about the lack of first-time homebuyers in the market actually hurting the housing market. But this one's more about a conversation that we want to give perspective on, because this article talks about first-time homebuyers being on the sidelines, when in reality, they are on the sidelines technically, but not really because they're quote-unquote waiting. There's a lot more going on that's causing them to be on the sidelines. So let's just go ahead and jump into the first one about the processing delays helping push down foreclosures in the first quarter. So
Sure.
Tell us a little bit about what the heck does that exactly mean?
Yeah, so especially for you, those of you who are keeping track of what's going on with foreclosures, we've seen the number of foreclosures drop like the last 3 years really. And so this article actually talks about a pretty significant drop from year to year in Q1. So Q1 2010 and Q1 2011. And what we're seeing is some significant reasons behind that. Not the least of which is just the sheer volume of foreclosures that the banks are trying to process. But another thing that's gotten in the way of them being able to move these foreclosures through the process is that all the legal wrangling that's gone on from what we called robo-signing or illegal foreclosures.
Wait, so then like this, that totally makes sense. But one thing that I don't think people understand is because this is like, it sounds contradictory at first. It's like, how could we have, we did a couple video, I think it was episode 2 or 2 or 3 where we talked about, look at all the notice of defaults.
Right.
And it's like, so it seems contradictory where you have loads of notice of defaults filing and filing, but then the question is, how the heck do we have an article about the filings or foreclosures going down? It just seems so contradictory. So like, that's due to the simple thing of...
Well, a couple of things actually. That's a really good point, because when the bank issues a notice of default, that's just the start of the foreclosure process. In some states, like in New Jersey, for instance, the average time from a notice of default being issued to the house being sold is 27 months.
Holy cow, that's over 2 years.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And so every state is a little different in that, but none of them are processing foreclosures in what you would consider a normal standard foreclosure process time, which is about 5 to 6 months.
Okay, so then if I'm understanding correctly, when articles like this are saying that foreclosures are down in quarter 1 of this year, like they were last year, what's really the truth and the big picture behind this? Like, what's the real foreclosure conversation, and especially with inventory? What's the real? What's the big picture? Because this is looking at it in a micro view. What's the big macro view in a sense?
So the big macro view is that there are millions and millions of homes that are basically underwater.
Yeah.
And so those are going to have something done with them over the next several years. They're just not on the market now. So what it's done, the impact of that and the ramification of not getting these things pushed through is that inventory is down in a lot of markets. And it's giving us a little bit of a false market, if you will. They're calling this inventory of unforeclosed properties a shadow inventory, and you may have heard those terms. But basically it means that these homes are actually their inventory that isn't in the market yet.
Yeah, I see. So
what we expect to have happen, and what the article actually says, is a little bit different. So the article is saying that we're going to see, once the banks kind of start working through the process, they get all these legal things behind them, that we're going to see a big uptick in foreclosures. And I do agree that we're going to see more foreclosures hitting the market, but I don't think it's going to be a huge uptick. What we're going to see is something a little different than that.
So then as a seller or buyer or just anybody trying to get involved in real estate on any side of it, what they should take away from these when they see headlines like foreclosures are down, the real truth is that yes, they're down, but that's just because the sheer volume is actually it's a funny little paradox.
It's a bit of a gridlock if you're in a traffic jam.
And that's a great point.
Move forward.
Yeah, okay, but once the traffic clears, all the cars are still on the freeway.
Right.
So all these inventory is still going to hit the market. Right. So how does it impact the seller?
Well, it impacts the seller because right now inventory is low, and so we have a bit of a window for you. I don't know how long that window is going to stay open though before we start seeing more homes come on the market that are in what we call distressed. And distressed is either deed in lieu property, a foreclosed property, or a short sale. So, but what I do think is it's going to happen, which differs from this USA Today article, is I think we're going to be seeing a larger number of short sales as opposed to foreclosures.
Okay.
The banks are getting much better now at processing short sales, and it kind of helps everyone out, and not the least of which the neighbors who live around the homes that are being in the foreclosure process.
So then, but let's say right now I'm a seller and I'm like, hey, I didn't sell in Q1 while the inventory was down because of these processing delays and the lack of inventory in the market. Realistically, no matter what, we're going to see an increase in inventory. Is that a fair thing to for sure say?
Yeah, we're seeing it now, but we're not seeing a lot of foreclosures. We're seeing more short sales come on the market.
But even so, the more inventory that's always just worse off. I mean, if I'm going to sell my home today, I'd rather sell with 2 or 1 home against me versus 5, 6, or 7.
Absolutely.
Is that good? Okay. Yeah. I was just trying to put perspective. So pretty much then, if we had to sum this all up, because this is hopefully this is all making sense, because you're getting the same data giving you contradictory results.
Different spin on it.
But when you look at it in a short term and a long term view, they draw a different conclusion. It seems.
Right.
So what should a seller do with this information?
Well, you need to be aware of it and factor that into your decision on when to put the home on the market. So if you're, again, we had this discussion video.
One of the videos previously.
If you're thinking that you're going to wait because prices are going to be going up, I would caution you to really rethink that, because this isn't just coming from us. This is coming from several different news agencies that there's all this shadow inventory that's going to be hitting the market. Yeah. The difference between it is how we look at the data and perceive it and think it's going to roll out.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it's all speculation. One thing we do know for sure is that there are millions and millions of homes that are underwater, and something's going to have to happen with those.
Yeah, regardless. They had to come on the market in some kind of capacity.
Right. So as it is today, for a seller, you're in pretty good shape.
Okay.
Because you're not competing with a lot of properties. Having said that, last month, or actually 2 weeks ago, we have new listings come on the market, and I think Danville and San Ramon we had like 40, and then this past Thursday we had 70.
Oh, so it's just kind of a big jump.
Right.
Oh wow. That is pretty interesting. So then monitor the time. The timing matters everything.
Right.
Because simply inventory.
Right.
Coming back to that same question we've been hitting on.
Inventory is critically important when you're selling your home.
So then if you hear whether foreclosures are rising or whether foreclosures aren't rising or they're just short sales, it doesn't really matter at the end of the day, because it's just more inventory. Inventory impacts price.
That's right. And then the mix of inventory, as we see a larger percentage of distressed properties become that inventory, that just exacerbates the whole issue.
Yeah.
And then because they typically are sold at a lower price.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Well, hopefully there's clarity. If you have any questions on that one, just let us know. So let's just quickly jump to the second one.
Okay.
This is about the lack of first-time home buyers and how this has hurt the housing market. So quickly, this article, it's from USA Today. They're saying how first-time home buyers are on the sidelines. When in reality, why are they on the sidelines? What's really going on with first-time home buyers?
Yeah, it's not that they're sitting there waiting or just twiddling their thumbs. They're actually trying to engage and get a house. They're just, to some extent, being shut out on a few different fronts. Typically, in a normal, healthy market, you should see anywhere between 43 to 50% first-time home buyers. We're at about 30 to 34% right now. And the reason for that is that there's a few reasons actually. The tax credit, first-time homebuyer tax credit, expired in 2010, and that actually stopped the market for a little while. Mm-hmm. Then we saw the lending standards change to make it tougher for people to get loans, and you can argue whether that's good or bad. I tend to think they swung on maybe a little bit too far to the conservative, but they did need to move. And then the other thing, which is probably the biggest impact on that, is that a lot of buyers who are competing with first-time home buyers are investors with cash. So if you were a seller and you had someone coming to you to buy your home, and it could be someone, if it's a first-time home buyer using an FHA loan with 3.5% down, or an investor paying you all cash, that could close in 2 weeks. Typically, the investor's going to win out.
Yeah, always.
And that's what's happening.
So if we had to rewrite this headline, it's not a lack of first-time home buyers hurting the housing market. It's more like
first-time home buyers being shut out from the housing market.
The lack of, or the increase of cash buyers and so forth are pinching out first-time home buyers.
Yeah, and just to give you an idea, in our office alone here, which is in Danville, about 40% of the deals that are done are all cash.
Holy cow!
That's a massive statistic.
We'll show you the board that you have. You showed me the board. there's loads of sales in just every given month, and that's a huge volume of cash buyers. Holy cow! All right.
Yeah.
Well, I guess that's pretty much everything for this one. So the end point would be, when you read things about first-time homebuyers waiting on the sidelines, you need perspective, because it's not really the case. They're not sitting there saying, I'm going to wait till next month. They're really like, I can't get something accepted type of thing in general. A good amount of them.
And my message to someone who is a first-time homebuyer that has been shut out is to don't get too discouraged. Just hang in there. We're seeing inventory, as we mentioned earlier, starting to pick up a little bit, and your home will show up.
Yeah.
And I'm a firm believer that when it's the right time to buy, the home will show up for you.
Yeah, but just to be 100% realistic with our topics we've been talking about, that message to first-time home buyers, your home will show up, means your home will show up because more inventory is going to be coming on, which really isn't the best thing for a seller. So you got to weigh those options on both ways.
That's right.
So so that's pretty much everything, I think. Anything else?
Yeah. No.
So all right, good. Take care.
Bye.